Rory Coutts, thanks for joining me here today. Deputising for Jono, we're here at Merchant Taylors. We've had our first white ball training session of the summer. How's it gone?
It's gone well, Fletch. The second team have started playing some white ball games, which has been brilliant, and they've had two good wins over the last week. So white ball prep started a little bit further back because, as I'm sure you guys are aware, the tight window between the formats means that on non-batting days during Championship cricket, a lot of the guys have taken the opportunity to hit some white balls. So to top up all the work they did during the winter. So preparation has started, but today's our first full day out in the sun at Merchant Taylors.
You're absolutely right, Rory. You mentioned the twos have started. Two good performances from them so far. A win down against Essex in Southend, and obviously a win most recently Kent in Polo Farm, I think, in Canterbury.
Absolutely, yeah.
How pleased were you with those performances, and who stood out for you?
I think it's great because it gives a lot of the white ball guys, or lads who are going to play roles in the white ball side, an opportunity to start, but also it gives those guys an opportunity to continue the work that started last year with the way we want to play our cricket, the brand we want to play, and to execute. And it was fantastic to see that happening in big parts during those two fixtures.
That really came to the fore, really, I guess, towards the end of last season. We had a fairly wretched start to the campaign, if you don't mind me saying. But towards the end of the season, we were playing some damn good cricket. We hit over 200 on 5 separate occasions. And I know that's something that Jono normally talks to me about. That's what you've been trying to build up to be an aggressive side, an attacking side, and leave nothing out there. That progress has been steep and very impressive.
Absolutely. I think the average score in T20 cricket has rocketed over the last few years, and we wanted to be ahead of the curve in some respects, and playing an ultra positive brand last year, as you said, we got 5 scores of 200. We wanted to get on the front foot and take the game to opposition, because in order to qualify you have to win 8 to 14 games as a minimum, and if you limp to scores, there's a good chance the side, if they play well, can go past you, whereas we wanted to kind of rip the band-aid off and go get scores that put the opposition under the pump straight away. So that was the change in mentality last year, and as you say, it took some time to bed in, albeit with the bat we actually played pretty well throughout the competition, and we've got to match that now with the ball, and we've got to enable us to take some early wickets in games which we didn't do as well last year, and that means you're bowling at numbers 5, 6, 7 in those middle overs, as opposed to guys who are set and have laid a good platform.
Seems like it's been a long road to get to this point. It's probably a good 2 years ago I started talking to Jono about his long-term vision for the T20 side, and at that point we had a ridiculously inexperienced side, and he said back then that he wanted to get games into this side, get games into the squad and those younger members. And I think it's probably about 2 years ago I remember chatting to Eski after a game, and we'd just been beaten by Sussex, and they had the best part of 1,400 T20 caps in their squad, and I think we had about 250. You've now got a fairly solid side that have been relatively stable over 2 years. They're a hell of a lot more experienced now. They've got game management time, they've experienced wins, they've experienced losses. They're probably going into this campaign with a little bit more nous about them now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's two bits to that. Yes, we wanted to get game time and experience and caps into some of those younger players, which has been vital. And if you look at some of those younger guys, they would have played, double the number of games now than they would have played 2 years ago. The second part to that is there's more people who have played franchise cricket.
Yes.
We've got players who have played in the 100, which is invaluable experience from not only extra matches, but in playing with some of the world's best. And we've also recruited. You look at in Henry Brooks and Leas Deploy, you've got two high-performing white ball cricketers who have joined us from other counties, who bring other experiences, as well as both having played franchise cricket before. So there are multiple bits to that, but I think the important part was where we started 2 years ago, that we're on track. There's young lads who've got experience, and we're going to continue to add to what is a good base, and hopefully move towards winning more games and qualify for a quarter-final.
I guess it's testament to what we're doing that you've got players like Max Holden, who's kind of cartwheeled himself into the 100 now, and he's making a name for himself, and someone like Eski, who's obviously been a regular in the blast side for many years now, but he's off playing in the Big Bash, and obviously now playing in the 100 as well. And you've got Higo, as you say, you've got Helmy, you've got Brooksy. We've got a decent chunk of experience now, and you must be, I guess, heading into this campaign with some hope that qualification to the knockouts is within reach.
Absolutely. I think, as I said, we've gone through some of those building blocks, and we actually said it to the group last Wednesday. There's experience in there. There's guys who have played in different tournaments around the world, and we want to aim to be in that in those quarterfinals in the first part of September, and that should be the ambition. And to do that, as I said, we've got to try and win 8 games, and we're going to play against good sides. We're going to play against good sides with as much experience, if not more, with good players. And I think it'll be a great measure and a great test for us this summer to be able to go and qualify for those quarterfinals.
I guess just touching on the fact that we don't have an overseas player in the squad this year, I guess if ever you were going to do that, it was this year, because with an ICC World T20 going on, a lot of those kind of frontline leading T20 international stars are going to be out the frame. We've dibbled and dabbled in the past. We've had some absolute gun overseas players, and I think the net result is it might win us a game or two, but it's not really had a long-lasting impact. I can see the logic. You mentioned Leas Deploy joining, you mentioned Henry Brooks joining, you've got some young talent coming through, Blake's fit again. The need for an overseas this season is probably less than ever.
Yeah, I think overseas players are great, and they'll always add experience, and as you say, winning a game here and there. I think what we wanted to try to do was improve the spine of the side. And by improving the spine of your side, you rely less on overseas players, and then they can add the icing on the cake. So the position we're in now, where we are with the financial restrictions we're under, we aren't able to get them. So strengthening the spine of the side allows us to get more time into those lads, and in a year's time, 2 years' time, whenever we're able to get overseas players, we hope the spine is as strong as it's ever been. And then you're adding you're adding the cherry on top rather than trying to build the cake, so to speak.
It's an exciting time to be part of it. I mean, I've been around the squad all summer. We're unbeaten from the 4-day stuff. You mentioned, obviously, we've got that block of 4-day cricket at the start, and we're now moving into a white ball block. How tough is that for the group as players and also coaches, obviously, because you're effectively going into a completely different discipline?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, momentum's a great thing anyway. You want to be winning games, and we've played some very good cricket. You know, there's been a lot of draws in our division, a lot of high scores, but actually we're in a good place. And if you had given us this at the start of the summer, we would have taken it. So we hope to take that momentum into the Blast campaign. The change between formats is always interesting when you finish a championship game on a Monday and you're playing your first Blast game on a Friday. County cricketers are used to it. It just means you have to, jiggle your cards, and like we mentioned earlier, with second team games, with white ball practice and guys using their time wisely, it's something that county cricketers are used to doing. Doesn't make it right. I'll leave that up to you to decide, but it means we just have to be in the best place we can be by Friday to take on Kent.
Obviously, Rory, it all kicks off this Friday. Hugely exciting opening fixture against Kent down in Chelmsford at the county ground. Slightly strange one, obviously a home fixture for us in Kent, but it's a ground we won at last year, so you must be going into this opener against Kent in high hopes.
I think it's a ground our lads have played at every year for the last few years, so they do know the ground. Unusual set of circumstances that we play in our home ground, but those reasons have obviously been well documented, and I think the boys are massively looking forward to starting the campaign. It's the one time in the year where county cricketers can play with crowds, and and it's a real showpiece, and we hope to get off to a cracking start this weekend, and as I said, hopefully push for those quarter-final places.
I asked this of Lewis when I spoke to him at the end of the 4-day game against Sussex, and just how do players view the Blast. And it's obviously our premium domestic competition for counties, but it does provide a fantastic shop window for players to potentially launch a career in franchise cricket around the world, and also into the 100 this coming summer. So obviously there's some wild pick spaces up for grabs. Which players do you think are going to be standing up and kind of waving their flag?
Oh, I've got to answer this like a politician, Fletch. I think, as you said, it's an opportunity for everyone. There are wildcard picks available, but there are competitions throughout the world that if you do have a good Blast campaign, there are opportunities there. And I think we've seen over the last few years, you mentioned Eski, Max and a few others earlier, those lads have put in some really good performances, and it's catapulted them into other competitions across the world. So we just hope that another 2 or 3 of our lads will be able to have cracking competitions this year and push their case to get involved, because it definitely accelerates their development and accelerates Middlesex and the team's development alongside it. So exciting times for Friday.
Certainly is. Very much looking forward to it, Royal. Thank you so much for your time. All the very best of luck on Friday. Hopefully we'll have some members coming down and joining us. It'll be a good night down there, and all the very best of luck with the campaign over the next 3-4 weeks.
Thank you, mate.